How bad is our birth decline?
It is shockingly bad. So we are now at 1.6 per woman. Our replacement rate is 2.1.
Wow.
It is going to be a shock, a huge shock, when our generation ages and there's no one there to do important services. This is how civilizations die. Like, who takes care of boomers when they're in their 80s and 90s? If you do not have a generation of workers, society starts crumbling. I'm a firm believer that the most important institution in America is the family. The family used to exist to take care of the people who were weakest. Now the state has to take care of them, which is why you see a lot of these people on the street. Oh, well, we went from 2.1 to 1.6. That can't be that bad. I mean, in a couple generations, that means that our population has shrunk by half.
In a couple of generations?
Yeah, but I actually think the bigger problem is cultural and spiritual. Feminism did change the memes and the culture, but no one talks about when you introduce birth control into a society. All of these declines in the industrial world started at the exact same time that the pill was introduced. Something magical changed in the 60s and the 70s. Abortion was made legal in 1973. Other nations followed. There's a reason why the birth rate is so low in these countries.
Gen Z and millennials don't want kids. So the birth rate, the fertility rate in the U.S. has been going down for years. It's now at a historic low. And what's really interesting when you get into the Pew Research underneath it is the reason people are not having kids has changed. So put up this graphic here, and I'll talk you through it. People over the age of 50 who have not had children, they say, look, it just didn't happen. Basically, I wanted to, but it was bad luck. Young people today say, I'm not even out here trying. I, period, full stop, don't want children. That is a big shift. That is a big change. There's a bunch of reasons. A portion of them cite the cost.
The cost of childcare is bananas.
It's bananas.
School is just, it's
crazy.
Unreal.
A portion of them cite worries about the state of the world, climate change. Yeah. And then 20% say, I just don't like kids.
And these are all fair reasons. I don't know about not liking kids.
The state of the world and climate change, meaning they don't want to add to our population because of the pressures.
Or they're just worried that the quality of life is getting worse and worse.
Oh. I think we're going through an evolutionary bottleneck. So we're going through a period where, it's partly the pill, people, it's one of those issues that sort of attracts just so stories. People will often be quite confident about, oh, it's this, oh, it's feminism, oh, it's capitalism, whatever. I think that the single factor that actually best explains why you're seeing such massive drops in fertility across not just Europe and America, but Northeast Asia, as you were saying, and also actually lots of, like, the Middle East has quite low birth rates. Indian subcontinent has quite low birth rates. Basically, the only place in the world that still has high birth rates is sub-Saharan Africa. So this is basically a global phenomenon.
The world currently needs 2.7. I know it's a weird number, but let's say 3. They need couples to make 3 children to keep the global population from collapsing, from going extinct. Europe is currently at 2.1. Elon Musk speaks about this and people are like, it's because we've got lots of kids. And obviously we get laughed at about Nick Cannon and whatever.
Yeah.
LGBTQI+. I'm not going to speak about it as a conspiracy today, but I'm going to speak about a community where a lot of them don't want to have children. I'm homosexual, I'm trans, I don't really want kids, I'm okay. You've got a lot of women today. It is very costly to your career to be a mom, because it means you can't travel any given time. It means they can't ask you to work long extra hours. It means you can't commit, which is partly why I was saying a lot of our female celebrities are not mothers, because the idea of being a mom, my waist, I've already got a BBL, it's going to ruin my body. I can't get my shoots in. I can't travel because now I've got this burden of children. So you've got people that are not having children. Those that are falling pregnant are aborting. Contraceptives, before we even think of falling pregnant, of which a lot of the contraceptives are destructive to fertility the day you want to fall pregnant. A lot of them have side effects, depression, potential suicide, other health impacts, which pharmaceuticals won't tell you. But if ever we start seeing a rise in things like maybe cancer, women having migraines that don't make sense, other illnesses, it's because of some of this medication, which is telling your body, even though a man is planting a seed, your body's going to destroy that seed that they've planted. What else is it destroying inside you?
Because that's more a sign not of a country developing, but of a country and a society, of a modern society, which does not see the value in raising children and having deep and loving relationships be a priority in your life.
Those people would say I have deep and loving relationships with my partner, with my dog, with my uncle, auntie, friends, etc.?
It's different. And why is it different? It's a good question. It's different because in the end, your relationship with your partner or with your auntie or with your dog isn't the same level of dependency. The ability to care for another human being, to allow another human being to be dependent on you, to devote to that human being, is a growing, transforming experience for human beings. I would say that I'm not sure I completely buy this fully but Jordan Peterson, I think it was Jordan who said that you can't fully become an adult if you don't have a child. Now, I'm not sure I would go that far because there are some people who can't have children. But I do think that there is something in terms of developmentally on an adult development level that transforms you, that is meant to transform you in being generative and having children.
The numbers are falling because modern life pushed people into a corner where raising children feels like a financial liability instead of a normal part of adulthood. Housing costs went up, food prices went up, healthcare bills went up. Capitalism rewards productivity and punishes time off, so young adults feel forced to prioritize output over family. Workloads increased, job security dropped, cities became expensive, rural areas lost opportunity. People are exhausted, and corporations love it because burnt-out workers do not take maternity leave. Add the career-first culture, and the message is loud. Build your title, build your CV, push parenthood to the back. By the time people feel ready, fertility drops. And yes, feminism shifted incentives. Women entered the workforce, built qualifications, fought for independence, and suddenly the traditional family timeline got delayed. Not because people hate kids, but because the system makes it difficult to combine work and family without losing income or status. None of this is emotional. It is a hard return on investment calculation. Parenthood has become a luxury product in a world designed for endless labor. The bigger risk is simple. A species with falling birth numbers hits a wall because population replacement is not flexible. You need about 2.1 children per woman to keep the line steady. Most developed places are far below that. Japan, South Korea, parts of Europe, China. Once numbers drop below a certain point, the population ages fast. Fewer workers, more pensioners, heavy tax load, slowing innovation, shrinking militaries. Countries lose global leverage. You cannot outsource babies. Migration helps lightly, but does not solve a long-term structural collapse. If the trend holds, you get a future where humanity keeps shrinking generation after generation until society cannot fund itself. This is how species fade, not through a dramatic event, through slow demographic erosion driven by an economic system that rewards work over family and a cultural shift that removed the old social pressure to build households early.
You know, a lot of people that don't want to have kids in their 20s, and then once you hit 30, something happens in your brain where, like, you start seeing kids in public and they start to hit different, if you know what I mean. That sounded weird. That's not how I meant it. But it's like you start to see children through a completely different lens than you used to, and it makes you want them a lot more. And I think it's because adulthood has just beaten you so badly into submission that you just want to experience childhood again. Because if you look in the children's eyes, they're so full of hope and just pure unadulterated joy that hasn't had decades worth of life to just beat it into submission. And it is really magical. When you look into a child's eyes, it's like, wow, you don't know anything. And that's awesome. I wish I could go back to that. That would be great, you know? And it's like, I really actually do want to be able to experience childhood again. Like, that would be great. To be able to go to Pixar movies again alone and not look like a freak.
They don't tell you might regret it. They don't tell you that when you go back home and all your family members, your nieces and nephews, all the kids your brothers and sisters have had, your cousins have had, that you go look around and see them kids and realize that you don't have one of those, and that the next generation of the family that's coming up doesn't have your face. There's not a you that's a part of that. There's not your energy. Now I understand what it means when people talk about legacy. I didn't understand what that was before till I went home a couple of weeks ago and hung out for my niece's graduation and my cousin's son graduation. I looked at all the kids in their 18, 17, 19 age range and realized, well, damn, we're all the same age. Like my sister, my cousin, we're all the same age. They're a little older than me. I just turned 40. And I don't have a kid because I've been traveling. I live abroad. And since I've been living abroad, these people have been having so many kids, okay? And not just necessarily living abroad. I was the one who moved away. I was the one who chose a different path. I was the one who didn't want to be part of the program. I didn't want to be part of what was expected. And so I did something totally different. And so now I'm going home and watching the people who did what was expected and realizing, well, damn. Because I didn't do what was expected, I don't have kids. And I chose to be child-free. Yes, I did. I'm also a queer woman, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't have children. I chose this life, but nobody tells you when you're 40 that you might regret it. And I'm still sitting in the energy of that right now of like, do I want to have a kid? I don't know if I want to be pregnant. Because the thought came to my mind. I was like, well, maybe I could adopt a teenager. But then it's not me. And I brought this up to a couple of my friends because I've been thinking about it like, well, damn, like how are you guys feeling about it? Because we're all in our 40s. And one of them said, well, I've been thinking when I was in your situation that I could just date someone who has kids and be like a bonus mom. Somebody else said, well, your legacy is not necessarily children, which is something I've always believed, right? The work that I do online, I've changed thousands of lives. And I'm very proud of that. But none of those people are in my family hanging out with my cousins' kids and my nieces and my nephews as a part of me. This is very raw and this is very unfinished. I don't have a solution to this. I've always wanted to have, I think, like one kid that I had a vision about in 2011. Why am I telling y'all my business? I don't know why I'm telling y'all my business. I may just delete this. I might delete this. But you know what? Nobody talks about it. And so I want to talk about it. Ladies in your 40s who chose to be child-free. I know most of y'all said y'all happy. But when you were going through this phase, what did you do?